Hello, my name is Luca Rodriguez, and my presentation is about conservation of biodiversity or biology. I want to start out with what it is. So, what is it? Biodiversity is the diverse ecosystem, species, population, and genes. Conservation preserves this diversity by bringing in sustainability of the use of species, lands, ecosystem, and more about how it supports life. Both the biodiversity and conservation relates to how we manage our resources while we protect the variety of life on Earth. Why is it important? It's important since maintaining a diverse gene pool allows species to have a particular characteristics that makes them to have resistance to a disease, tolerance, and to harsh climate, and having a larger genetic diversity allows the species prepared to deal with the disease outbreaks and or extreme environmental changes. Smaller genetic diversity within their gene pool in the population is vulnerable to problems such as extinction. Larger gene pools has higher chance of survival than smaller gene pool since they are in danger of acquiring genetic diseases, deformities, and infertility. So, what economic does it bring to communities? The Leap in Assiniboine Park contains a garden, restaurant, and an indoor horticultural attraction with four biomes that permits the plants and species to maintain biodiversity. The piece to attend the Paris for ages and sustains the place in order for it to keep going. The conservatory was closed due to pre-admission, so with the piece to maintain the new leaf in Assiniboine Park, it allows to maintain the biodiversity indoor with its four biomes by being able to keep up with the expenses. The attraction is worthwhile, the visitation, and it has a classroom that teaches about the place and biodiversity in general, and its garden and the indoor biome to visit in and learn about its purpose. It is a great attraction, able to make money and still provide many people to admire and enjoy from while helping the biodiversity and more to thrive in. Habitat preservation. With habitat preservation, the environment won't have to see changes quickly that species can react in. Examples of how to preserve habitats are providing a garden that contains local flowers, shrubs for bees, birds, and other animals, limiting the trees being cut down, reducing forests. Do not litter and put the wrong items in the wrong bins, such as recycling and garbage cans, since it will pollute the oceans. In general, we harvest a large amounts of natural resources, and when it's not used sustainably, it will have caused major consequences. Public education. Increasing the public awareness of the importance of biodiversity allows people to involve themselves with restoring habitats by reducing the bad habits that, that corrupts the environment, such as littering, polluting, cutting down trees, and more, along with influencing the government to provide more environmental protection. By studying outside, we can appreciate the environment more and allow engagement to the students, which helps them develop connection with nature. With false information on the media about the ideas of biodiversity and conservation, public education can help show the right path of learning, the root causes, and the problems about conservation and biodiversity itself, and how we can give back to the environment solving its issues. So now I'm about to reflect on the videos. Already reflected on this. So here's what I saw and heard. The video talks about how indigenous communities have responsibility with bringing back conservation's glory and how much they can impact the environment for the better. Has aware their actions by making the improvement of biodiversity and climate change. By having more communities to depend on the environment, we will see more endangered species to survive and reproduce, and climate change won't be so bad. By bringing themselves back as the forefront protectors of this land, we will have many working towards conservation and prioritize to enhance. the land we live in. And we can better find sustainable ways to gather resources and harvest many things without taking too much and leaving nothing for the future. Second video I have. The video talks about how the indigenous people can help with climate change and how the job of working towards decreasing the disasters empowers them and allows them to heal. Seeing people work with a goal in mind that benefits not only them, but everyone brings happiness and peace. Trevor Williams said that the land has heavily been disrespected, and whatever you take from the land, you must give back. Many indigenous people have been working towards bringing conservation by honoring their cultural beliefs. They are able to have the responsibility to respect the land and give back what was taken. Having a responsibility with culture that teaches you many great info about the land allows one to dive in and take part of what needs to be done for the greater good. Third video. It talks about conservation through guardianships and having guardians for each indigenous community allows the conservation to have improvement. Having guardians to provide health to the land will help with the protection of species, decrease consumption of resources, and more. I also support this since I find that we need as many people to work with conservation and they can do to help with biodiversity. We should have guardians around our communities as well to look over our lands too. By doing this, we can find ways that they don't know how to provide. Oh, we can find ways that they know how to provide health to our lands and bring back conservation and maintain a steady, healthy environment. Video 4. It talks about cultural diversity that mirrors biodiversity. Canada committed to protect 25% of the land, along with 80% of indigenous people protecting biodiversity. It's clear that the indigenous people has a major role with keeping the conservation and diversity of the environment. I find it fascinating to see help from indigenous people while still incorporating their teachings along with their ancestral teachings. By learning their teachings and culture, we can see how they envision the land to be protected with ample of biodiversity and conservation. So, when I investigate the issue related to conservation of biodiversity, I have water quality in Lake Winnipeg. The water quality in Lake Winnipeg has seen lots of threats from increasing algae blooming, which reduces the water quality. Phosphorus also drives the eutrophication of algae and the excessive amount of phosphorus which leads to soupy green blooms which plagues with its waters and wash up on its shores every summer. The factors of phosphorus overload have been exacerbated by flooding caused by climate change, ongoing destruction of natural wetlands which hold back and filter water, invasive species. The Lake Winnipeg Foundation is working to address its harmful algae blooms by adopting of water retention practices and upgraded sewage treatment systems in order to provide the health of Lake Winnipeg. So, for discussing the questions about extinctions, so I have we humans have sped up the extinction rate by 1,000 times compared to the fossil record. Even when the evolution takes place, human intervention and what we cause to destroy like habitats, pollute, and more for resources would not allow the species to thrive and have enough time to reproduce. Extinction is not how evolution is driven by survival and reproduction over time with changes to adapt to the environment they live in is. In my sites, Byron talks about many ideas about extinctions and talks about how humans should put more priorities to themselves. Byron published a book, Perspective. It is summarized as humans are profoundly altering the planet, so let's just make the peace with the world degradation of the natural world. In response to this negative, and the writer even said, sense Byron's statement makes little practical sense because reducing the diversity and abundance of the living world will rob humans generations of choices as value changes. What he doesn't tell you is how important conservation and biodiversity is, and most importantly, how the endangered species may be beneficial to the environment. Pros and cons. I will start with the pros. With the Endangered Species Act, there are pros and cons of the law that allow species to survive and be able to reproduce to gather their numbers up, to prevent themselves to be in the brink of death and be extinct. It raises pro one is it raises environmental awareness. With education about the law of endangered species, we can raise the awareness of endangered species to improve their numbers in the brink of extinction, and it allows our ecosystems to flourish with saving species that are beneficial to us. Number two, it helps protect the environment. Species are protected by the Endangered Species Act and it is a crime to harm them. It also allows the environment to oh yeah, it allows the environment to flourish with those animals that brings balance to the environment without being harmed to extinction. Number three, it creates a sense of order to the environment. The law allows everyone to have a fair chance to enjoy the environment. It prevents people who kill species for amusement and those who just sits at home not taking the environment. Number four, it really helps to revive the dwindling species. The law works to increase the number of animals going to extinct in the brink of death. Cons. It's high cost. Paying for the land, law enforcement, protection, and caring for the animals is difficult to maintain with money. Number two, recovery rate is low. With the number of endangered species saved, the lower the numbers make it hard to breed and reproduce, along with how much endangered species are on the list to be saved. Part of their numbers have been delisted since of the lack of progress. And number three, it implements extreme land restrictions. We need sufficient land to add animals on, and with the rapid growth of buildings and such, it's hard to find a suitable land, and the drawbacks of having lands for endangered species is that it can hinder business growth. So we have programs that encourage conservation. Why or why not? Yes, by having programs to encourage conservation, it allows biodiversity to plants and animals, and as time passes to how we change the world with our amount of resource harvesting, mass extinction won't have to happen sooner. Other species also helps the ecosystem. For example, the grass in pastures feeds cattle feed that produce manure that returns nutrients to the soil, which helps to grow more grass. This manure can also be used to fertilize cropland, grow those plants, animals, and more. That helps us keep the ecosystem in peace. We will have no milk to drink from, honey, and many beautiful things we can admire. By degrading the conservation, our natural resources will be consumed too fast. Without sustainability, natural habitats will be destroyed, mass extinction will happen sooner, climate change, and more harm than good. So having programs that so basically having more programs that improve the conservation and biodiversity, we can help the extinction and more of this to not happen. My sites are currently posted on Word if you wanted to look, and that is the end of the video.